بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Dear students of Communications and Public Relations Management course, today inshallah we will start with a new chapter, chapter number 9, which is titled by the publics, media relations, print and broadcast. We end the previous chapter, chapter number 5, with managing reputation of an organizations, and today we will represent where we can manage our reputation. Also, we wanted to know how mass media and the internet affect public opinion. Learning perspectives. The internet has forever changed the public relations practice of dealing with the media. This is due largely to consumer-generated media. So, as an organizations, we deal before with different types of media or mass media, or what we call it traditional media, such as TV, newspapers, magazines. But when we talk about the internet, especially in the 21st century, the vision here is totally changed. So most organizations depend and focusing on using the internet. The good old days of conventional media, dominated by few networks and truth-minded reporters, are a relic of the past. So, dealing with traditional or conventional media, it becomes a relic of a past, because organizations in the past used to deal with maybe 2 or 3 networks, but today organizations dealing with everything with one tool, which is the internet. So again, the good old days of conventional or traditional media, dominated by few networks such as radios, magazines, TVs. Okay, but nowadays in the 21st century, here we are talking about new tools, which we call it the internet. Today's media is fragmented, omnipresent, and run by journalists who may be aggressive and opinionated. Opinionated, it means that those journalists, they have their own opinion and their own bias. Competition has driven many journalists to compromise traditional standards of truth and objectivity. So sometimes we feel that our journalists are not objective because they compromise their opinion with their interests, maybe their own interests or the interest of their organizations. And competition is one of the main causes, or it is caused the journalists to compromise their opinion with their interests and not to be objective, because with competition or a high competition or intense competition, we have many opponents, many TV channels and many magazines, and all of them they are biased and not objective. وجود الكومبيتيشن بحد ذاتها، المنافسة ما بين قنوات التلفزيون، ما بين الماجازينز، هذا أدى طبعا إلى عدم وجود نوع من الموضوعية في عرض الحقائق، رغم أنه أصل الصحافة والأساس القائم على الصحافة هي telling the truth، وأنها تكون فيها نوع من الموضوعية. لكن وجود الكومبيتيشن between those channels and between those magazines أدى إلى وجود اللي هي Objectivity، وطبعا نوع من التحيز حسب اللي هو الفئة اللي بتحدث عنها، أو حسب خلينا نحكي التحيز سواء كان السياسي أو الديني أو إلى آخره المعني بعرض حقائقه. عشان هيك كثير في الوقت الحالي يعني توجد الكثير من القنوات التلفزيونية بتكون القناة يعني معروفة إنها لحزب معين، أو ممكن تكون لفئة مثلا دينية معينة، للسنة أو للشيعة أو إلى آخره. فهذا يسبب إلى وجود يعني عدم وجود نوع من الموضوعية في عرض الحقائق. Modern public relations began as an adjunct to journalism. Before 2000 or so, most practitioners began their careers in journalism، لأنه كانت writing function مرتبطة بشكل أساسي مع الجورناليستس. فبالتالي أنا بيحكي لي إنه public relation began as an adjunct to journalism, and before 2000 most practitioners began their careers in journalism. فالأساس كان اللي هو شغل الصحافة، لأنه كانت وظيفة الرايتنج يعني خاصة باللي هو الصحافة أو بالصحفيين. But today people enter public relations from many different fields of study directly from college. The basis for public relation job or public relation practitioner is supposed to be journalism. لكن أي شخص درس صحافة وإعلام يستطيع طبعا العمل في هذا المجال اللي هو العلاقات العامة. طبعا هذه النظرة خلينا نحكي القديمة before 2000. لكن today anyone who have specific skills he or she can be a good public relation practitioner. So people enter public relations from many different fields of study. طالما انه السكيلز اللي لازم تكون موجودة في الببليك ريليشن براكتيشنرز متوفرة في هذا الشخص، فبالتالي يستطيع العمل في هذا المجال. لكن قديما before 2000 هو اللي انه most practitioners began their careers in journalism. فقط الأشخاص اللي كانوا بيدرسوا الصحافة والإعلام هم من يستطيعوا العمل في هذا المجال. حتى أنه في الإعلانات التوظيف الخاصة بعمل العلاقات العامة they don't specify the field، ما بيحددوا التخصص اللي لازم يكون الشخص بيحمله. طبعا قديما كان يفترض أنه يكون على الأقل درس صحافة وإعلام، لكن today يفترض أنه يكون على الأقل skills والqualifications والexperience طالما أنها متوفرة في هذا الشخص بغض النظر عن التخصص تبعه، فبالتالي يستطيع العمل في هذا المجال. The importance of media relations cannot be denied. In the 21st century it has never been more challenging. طبعا ليه؟ لأنه بسبب ظهور اللي هو الماس ميديا والإنترنت. Objectivity in the media. Whether the mass media have lost a relative influence to the internet and its various vehicles, the fact remains that securing positive publicity through the media still lies at the heart of public relations practice. So even we face a fake information in the mass media, we still securing our positive publicity through mass media because we have no other or any tools طبعا except the mass media. Why attract publicity? The answer is that publicity is regarded as more credible than advertising. To attract positive publicity requires establishing a good working relationship with the media. Okay, so once we talk about publicity, it is more credible than advertising. Why? Because publicity made by external persons, by external agents, but advertising we are the one who control or responsible about it and paying money for it. So from your customer perspectives, you are biased in your words once you are publishing your advertising, maybe biased for your organization or for your product. So publicity believing more in someone who write about you, okay, not on an advertising that you are writing at. So as long as the people believing the journalists or mass media, you have to build a close relationship with them or else you will lose your reputation. Okay, so again, why attract publicity? Publicity, it is more credible than advertising. أكيد يعني الشخص اللي بيكتب عني غير لما أنا أكتب عن نفسي. طبعا هذه من وجهة نظر الكاستمرز أو من وجهة نظر الأودينس بشكل عام. أنا هصدق الشخص اللي بيكتب عنك، تمام، وهو ما له مصلحة أو ولا له يعني أي علاقة بتربطه فيك. غير انه لما انت بتعمل الادفرتايزنج تبعك وبتدفع له اكيد بتكون مختار الكلمات وبكون في عندك نوع من التحيز للاورجانيزيشن تبعتك والبرودكت تبعتك، فبالتالي بتكون اقل مصداقية. So to attract positive publicity requires establishing good working relationship with the media. فبالتالي يفترض انه ال public relation practitioners إذا أو ال organizations لو هي حابة إنها تعمل securing positive publicity, it requires to establish a good relationship with the media, to build a closed relationship with journalists, or else they will lose their reputation. Continue talking about objectivity in the media. This is of course easier said than done. In the 21st century, faced with intense competition from on-air and online journalists, print reporters are by and large more aggressive. Okay. So because of an intense or high competition, the journalists are not objective and they are more aggressive. As we said before, يفترض انه الجورناليست اساس عمل الصحافة اللي هي انه يكون بنقل الصورة او الخبر بموضوعية اكثر، لكن وجود الكومبيتيشن خاصة في ال 21st century في القرن ال21 وجود الكثير من القنوات الاير and online journalists البرنت reporters، كل هذه الامور وكل هذه المنافسة ما بين هذه الوسائل أدى إلى أنه تكون الجورناليستس أو عمل الصحافة more aggressive، كمان تكون فيها نوع من عدم الموضوعية. Okay, so again, because of an intense or a high competition, the journalists are not objective and more aggressive. They are also decidedly less objective. Continue talking about the relationship between the media and the establishment, that is public relations. People should be one of friendly adversaries rather than enemies. So from point of views as business organizations, it's supposed to deal with those journalists as a friend, not as an enemies, because they will write about your organization, and whenever we need them, we will find them. So mass media will defend you if you are attacked by others. So you have to have a friend or a close relationship with the media or with the mass media or with the journalists, not to consider them as an enemies, cause of course they will write about your organization, about your product, and they will defend about your organization if you are attacked by other competitors or other enemies. Okay, so the relationship between media and the establishment, that is public relations, people should be one of friendly adversaries rather than enemies. About objectivity in the media, securing positive publicity through media defines the public relations practice. So one of the main practices of public relations is to secure a positive publicity. Objectivity is the traditional goal of journalism. As we said before, انه الصحافة يفترض انه تنقل الاخبار او الحقائق بموضوعية. So objectivity, it is the main goal of journalism. It means fairness and neutrality in reporting the news. Public relations always represents a client's, organization's, or point of view. One of the main functions of public relation practitioners is to represent the clients or external agencies of their organizations or the point of view of others. Both sides, it means, or it refers to public relations and journalists, should consider themselves to be friendly adversaries, not bitter enemies. Okay, so again, public relation practitioners or the public relation and the journalists should have a close relationship or a friendly relationship with each other, because the journalists will help the organization or to defend the organization once they are attacked by other competitors or other enemies. Now it's your turn. Do you believe that the media can ever be truly objective? Why or why not? And what are the barriers? So for the first question, we can say that it is very hard, or it is rarely to find a journalists which is truly objective. بمعنى إنه it is not impossible to say that there is journalists who give a truly objective, لكن من الصعب إيجاد هذا النوع. Why or why not? Because all of us have a bias for our values, for our culture, for our religion, for our interests, and so on. So what are the barriers? The barriers is like our culture, philosophy, interests, beliefs, and so on. Okay, فبالتالي again البيسز للجورناليستس انه يحرر الخبر بموضوعية، لكن وجود الكومبيتيشن هذا ادى الى عدم وجود نوع من الموضوعية في اللي هو الحقائق اللي بيعطيها. ليه؟ لانه هذه الكومبيتيشن طبعا ما بين القنوات، خلينا نحكي، او ما بين الديفرنت ماس ميديا اكيد حتتاثر، او it is يعني all of us and all of those channels is biased for their own culture, for their own values, for their own interest, and so on. And this is the barriers. Why don't the executives get it? Or why do executives, they cannot understand what exactly mass media or the journalists doing? The reporter wants the story, whether it is good or bad. So the reporters, they are looking for a story to be the first one or the first person who write about it, whether it is good or bad. But the organizations want to present things in the best light. The organizations want to present the organization in a bright or in a good image always. Okay, فلهذا السبب the executives they cannot understand what exactly the mass media or the journalist doing. الريبورترز دايما ببحث عن السبق الصحفي، عن اللي هو القصة، عن الستوري، something to tell it for the publics whether it is good or bad. ولكن الorganizations دايما بتبحث على انه انت لازم تتحدث عني بطريقة ايجابية، دايما بتبحث عن عرض المنظمة في افضل صورة. And that's why many executives distrust the media or the mass media and consider the journalist to be the enemy. Print, number one medium. Okay, the print here, it means, or it is relates to magazines or the newspaper. Okay, number one medium. In the internet age, how can this be? It means انه احنا في ال 21st century، في عصر الانترنت، فكيف احنا يعني حتى الآن نعتبر انه البرنت او اللي هي النيوزبيبر والماجازينز واحدة من اهم الميديم او التولز اللي احنا بنستخدمها لعرض الحقائق او الاخبار. Newspapers and magazines still use news releases. Newspaper circulation has fallen, yet major newspapers are still powerful. Even we are in the 21st century, we still talk about prints, or we are talking about magazines and newspapers. And here the writer said that newspaper circulation has fallen. It means that there are many journals closed because of the internet. Okay, newspaper circulation has fallen, yet major newspapers are still powerful. رغم انه عدد كبير من اللي هي الجورنالز طبعا يعني تم الاستغناء عنها، ويعني خلينا نحكي العمل تبعها توقف بسبب ظهور طبعا الانترنت، الا انه النيوزبيبر القوية بقيت حتى الان في عملها. Now we wanted to talk about electronic media, which is a new dominance. In the early 21st century, more and more Americans turned to cable TV for daily news. الكابل TV هي عبارة عن مجموعة من القنوات التلفزيونية المعنية في موضوع معين أو في تخصص معين. So now we wanted to talk about the e-media or the electronic media, which is a new dominance, and one of the main electronic media is the cable TV. 24 hours and 7 days cable news, forced world events into one chaotic continuous loop. Also specialized cable channel offer everything from food and fashion to weather and history. الكابل channels ممكن تكون متخصصة في مجال معين، عن الفود، عن الفاشن، عن weather, عن history and so on. Also we have other electronic media such as the talk radio اللي هي traditional radio, which is a massive social and political force. Also the satellite radios اللي هي radio channels on TV. Despite it's a slow start, it is on its way. That's for electronic media. The internet factor, love it or hate it, the internet has ushered in a new age of journalistic reporting. Newspaper websites are increasing in popularity and many online news staff are growing. So now you can read the news in websites, and the people who write those articles or news become more and more popular than before. طبعا هذا كله بسبب وجود الانترنت. أصبح الآن مش بالضرورة أن نقرأ الأخبار على في الصحف، في المجلات، في الجرائد، إنما بوجود الإنترنت بإمكاننا أن نقرأ حتى الأخبار على الإنترنت. مش بس إنها بتعرض كمان النيوز، كمان الأشخاص اللي بيكتبوا هذه الأخبار أصبحت لهم شهرة بشكل أكبر بسبب وجود هذا الإنترنت. Online news sites are providing fresh news targets for public relations practitioners. Blogs have sprung up in all shapes, sizes, and pedigrees. Reporters and bloggers use them 24 hours and 7 days. And finally, regardless of the medium or the tool, the key to success still lies in the fairness and respect on both sides. Regardless of the tools which is used from the different electronic media or whatever, the key to success is on both sides. Both sides here, it is related to journalists and public relations. The point is that internet reporters and bloggers from every political bias and ulterior motive remain busy 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, churning out continuous stories, some true, other not, about companies, government agencies, non-profit organizations, and prominent individuals. The challenge for public relations professionals in dealing with the print, electronic or online commentators is to foster a close relationship between their organizations and those who present the news. So organizations should care about building a close relationship with journalists or the mass media, and the key success factor for those media is fairness or respect others and their opinion. So the key once again is fairness, with each side accepting and respecting the other's role and responsibility. افترض انه يكون في عندي اساس النجاح انه انا كpublic relation أفهم دور ومسؤولية الجورنالست، وأيضا الجورنالست كي يفترض يكون في عنده تفهم واحترام وتقبل لدور العلاقات العامة داخل المنظمة. That's all for this lecture. Thank you for listening and good luck.